How do you feel, ladies?
Lucky!
And you are lucky, too. The luckiest ladies in town. Guests for the next half hour of Lady Go Lucky, America's newest fun show. Presented Monday through Friday at this time by 10 fine sponsors, including Swift's All-Sweet Margarine, Betty Lou Potato Chips, Golden State Cottage Cheese, Lady Lee Canned Foods, and Ben-Hur Coffee. And now, let's meet the luckiest man in town, your host, Tom Baxtor. Come on up, Tom.
Thank you much, It's awfully nice of you. And thank you, ladies, and thanks also to you men in our audience. Welcome to the first broadcast of your new show, Lady Go Lucky. Our special guests today are you at your radio and 200 ladies of the Sunnyside Methodist Church and the Children's Welfare League here in our studio who will compete for $50 in cash prizes as the highlight feature of our show. We're not going to go into any lengthy explanations right now. Just hang on to your loudspeakers and you'll find out. First of all, I see George Fenneman here has two attractive ladies from the audience in tow coming up to the microphone. Would you mind introducing me here, George?
Hello, Tom. They're Mrs. John Gullion and Mrs. Allan Nally.
Mrs. Nally and Mrs. Gullion. Well, let's speak to Mrs. Nally here first. Oh, my goodness, redhead and everything here, huh?
Redhead? Why, that's the first
blonde?
time I've been called a redhead.
A blonde, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're
a
cute.
dizzy blonde.
Oh, now, wait a minute there. You're not so dizzy. Tell me where you're from, Mrs. Nally.
Well, I live in Hollywood, but my home originally was St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. Used to live in St. Louis, Missouri. I really did. Oh, wonderful place up there. Uh-huh. All right, and here's Mrs. Gullion. Is that Gullion?
Gullion.
Gullion. G-U-L-L...
I-O-N.
I-O-N, I see. And you're from where, Mrs. Gullion?
I'm from Lavilla, Iowa, in Monroe County.
In Monroe County. Navilla, you say?
Lavilla, Iowa.
I see. You married, Mrs. Gullion?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been married?
I've been married 35 years.
35 years. Who's the boss in the family?
Both of us.
Both of us. You get along. Who's the boss in your family, Mrs. Nally?
Well, I'm sorry to say I'm a widow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, now let's go on here and see what we have in the way for you ladies. You may not know it, but before this program is over, one of you two charming ladies is going to have the honor of being chosen our very first, what, do you know?
Lucky lady?
What's my name, do you know?
No.
You know? My name is Van Johnson, Mrs. Nally. I'm very happy to know you there. Yeah. Well, that's all right. My name is Tom Paxton. One of you ladies is going to be chosen our Lady Go Lucky, and both of you are going to walk out of the studio loaded down with wonderful things, believe you me. Does that sound good to you?
Sure does.
I'll bet it does. Well, this is how it works. Now, I'm going to have you, Mrs. Nally. You go over to the right side of the stage, and we'll say this chair over here. Is that all right with you?
Correct.
All right, and you, Mrs. Gullion. Wait a minute, we're not through talking here yet. You, Mrs. Gullion. Mrs. Nally's running off from us. Mrs. Gullion, you go over to the other side of the stage here, and all during the program, you keep your ears open wide. Very wide, because throughout the show, we're going to mention a magic word. Now, whenever you hear that magic word, race for the center of the stage, and right over here by the other microphone, there's a bell and a horn. Now, the first one each time to ring the bell or blow the horn and shout, "Lucky," she's the gal who's going to receive a very beautiful prize on the Lady Go Lucky show. Now, Mrs. Nally, what do you say? You toot the horn here, and Mrs. Gullion, you ring the bell. Now, let's hear you say, yell, "Lucky," Mrs. Nally.
Lucky?
Oh, that's not quite loud enough. Go ahead.
Lucky!
Louder than that, Mrs. Nally.
Lucky!
I think that's fine. All right. How about you, Mrs. Gullion?
Lucky!
Oh, my goodness. Are we still on the air up there? That's pretty rugged. All right. Now, let me hear you blow the horn, Mrs. Nally. Real hard. That's fine. Toot the bell. All right, we're all set here, ladies. Go to your corners. Now, to the one who has the most prizes by the end of our 30 minutes, we'll go a very special grand prize. Oh, by the way, ladies, would you like to know what the magic word is for today? The magic word is tasty. T-A-S-T-Y. That's right. Keep those ears in my direction all during the show, and regardless of what I'm saying, just rush for your bell or your horn, shout "Lucky," and toot 'em or ring 'em, as the case may be. Now that you're over at your chairs and all set, by the way, you want to be sure and pay particular attention to messages from our sponsors, because we're going to sneak them in there once in a while on you. We're going to tell you about some mighty tasty dishes that you can make from their products. And, yes, sir, we are mighty tasty dishes, T-A-S-T-Y. Yell "Lucky!" Go ahead and yell "Lucky!" Yell it. Hey, you forgot the magic word. Oh, fine, Mrs. Nally. All right. She yelled "Lucky," and that, whoa, you're not through yet. You have a wonderful prize coming up here. It's a Carasent perfume dispenser. Isn't that wonderful? And a can of that wonderful Rancho vegetable soup. Your family's going to love it, Mrs. Nally, and thank you very much. All right, now you ladies want to be showing very particular attention because we're still going to sneak a few more of those over on you.
Hey, Tom, I've got a game I'd like to play with you.
Well, I love games, but I'm just a little leery of any games you might want to play there, George Fenton.
Well, it's a kind of a psychological game. You see, I say a word, and you say the first word that comes to your mind.
Oh, I see. In other words, you can tell from the word that I answer by whether I eat crackers in bed and so on, huh? Is that right?
Well, not quite, but we'll try. Now, here's your first word.
All right.
Black.
White.
Pink.
Elephants.
Beautiful women.
Is that enough, brother? All right.
Let's try this. Wonderful coffee.
Oh, Ben-Hur.
The richest color, the most tempting aroma, the grandest flavor.
Ben-Hur.
Fragrant, full body, tasty.
Ben-Hur. Oh, there she did it. You're lucky. Oh, Mrs. Gullion, you're lucky. You were the first. You did? Well, that's fine. I want to give you something over here. Did you say tasty, George?
I said tasty, Tom.
All right. Oh, my goodness. Here we go again. All right, ring it. Oh, fine. Well, I slipped up there once. I shouldn't have mentioned
that word.
That word. That's right.
Well,
So we're going to have to give you a prize over here. I think it's a fine box of Faye's Fruit Miniatures, luscious candy filled with liqueured fruits. That's for you, Mrs. Gullion, and also a loaf of Langendorf bread. It's always fresh. It's always good. It's for you. All right, go ahead, George.
Tom, you're doing fine, and so is Mrs. Gullion. But right now, I'd like to consult my analytical charts to see how you did on this test I gave you. Say, this is terrific. You're sensational.
Oh, shucks, really toward nothing there, George.
Well, maybe you think it wasn't nothing, Tom, but when your inner mind was revealing your innermost thoughts, you were putting into words what everybody thinks once they've tasted Ben-Hur coffee.
You're wrong, George. You put it into words. All I said was Ben-Hur.
And that's enough to say whenever you ask your grocer for coffee. Just say Ben-Hur, and he'll give you a pound of coffee packed with a quality tradition that assures you the finest cup of coffee that ever graced your table. You try a pound and see, huh?
You know, they say there's an awful lot of coffee in Brazil, but at the rate Georgie Fenneman sells it, it won't be there very long. Hello there. How would you like to have a nice, delicious cup of Ben-Hur coffee?
Sure.
How old are you, by the way?
18.
18? My goodness. Well, welcome to the Lady Go Lucky broadcast, and we'll fix up that cup of coffee right after the show, huh? Say, how long have you been married? You are married, I see.
3 days.
3 days, uh-huh. Oh, my goodness, that's wonderful. Is her husband down there?
Right
Where
there,
is he?
right
Oh,
there.
you're the fellow I talked to? Let's give her husband a very big hand here. What do you say? I think that's wonderful. And what is your name?
Ruth Mrs. Sorensen.
Oh, you almost slipped, didn't you? Oh, marvelous. What was your name, your bachelor name, more or less?
Matthews.
Matthews, and now it's Mrs. Sorensen, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's wonderful, Mrs. Sorensen. Tell me, how about those early days of courtship? Where did you first meet your husband?
I wrote him a letter.
You wrote, where was he?
He was in the Navy.
He was in the Navy? How did you find out about him?
Well, every year at the high school I went to, we had to write to the servicemen that had graduated from there.
Oh, I see.
He was the one I picked.
They forced you to meet him, huh? Are you
Sort
glad
of.
you did?
I sure am.
Well, fine. Tell me, how long did you write to him? He was overseas, huh?
No, he was in Texas. San Diego.
Where were you? San Diego, all right. Tell me, was it a whirlwind courtship after he got home and everything?
Well,
Did you just sort of spin and get married, you know?
no, we sort of drifted into it.
Oh, I see. What was he, a soldier or a sailor?
Sailor.
He was, I was in the Navy myself. Hi there, Mac. All right. Tell me, do you ever go dancing together?
Yes.
You do? You a jitterbug by any chance?
No.
You're not, huh? You go down to the Palladium much?
No.
Oh, you
We're
don't?
just in Los Angeles for our honeymoon.
Oh, I see. Where are you from originally?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Hello there. My goodness, it's wonderful to see you. I just came down from San Francisco a couple of days ago myself. Well, this, Mrs. Sorensen, this is our Song of Romance department. Isn't that wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
It is? All right. What was that? What is your favorite romance song?
I love you truly.
You do. I think that's one. I think we should keep that a secret in front of your husband. Really, I do. You don't mind me standing here with my arms around her like this, do you? Oh, certainly not. I don't mind it at all. All right, I love you truly. Well, what makes that song so different from all the other love songs, Mrs. Sorensen?
Well, it started out as my mother's favorite song, and she used to play it all the time when we were together at my house, so we just kind of got to liking it, too.
Oh, isn't that swell? I'd like to hear that song right now, wouldn't you? Sort of bring back memories and everything, huh? Wouldn't you? All right, then let's hear it. You go right ahead and sing it to me, Mrs. Sorensen. Go right ahead.
Now?
Yeah, now. That's all right. I'm really not fooling. I do want to hear it. I don't care what kind of a voice you have. I'd like to hear the song just the way you can sing it. If you'd like to, you can sort of close your eyes. And what's your husband's name? Huh?
Sonny.
Sonny, you can look at Sonny down there and sing the song to him. Isn't that nice? If you don't know all the words, you just hum or whistle the part you don't know, and I think we'll enjoy it. Go ahead and sing. Let me lower the microphone here for you. You want me to help you start it?
Will you please?
I
love you truly, truly, dear. Life with its sorrows, life with its tears, faith into dreamland, when you are near. For I love you truly, truly, dear.
Isn't that wonderful? Oh, fine. Go ahead and give her a big kiss, Mr. Sorensen. Oh, fine. We kissed her. Boy, you've got that lipstick all over you. While she was singing, we got Miss Sonny Sorensen up here, and he's standing there with his arms around her. Well, Mrs. Sorensen, that was really great, and to show you how much we appreciate your fine performance and helping us out today, we want to give you a beautiful kit of Mildred Leary Cosmetics to give you a new lease on beauty and romance, created by one of the greatest cosmeticians in America. Isn't that wonderful? Huh? Do you
Thanks
like
a
that? Oh, all right, yes, sir. Hey, George, I wonder what Mr. and Mrs. Sorensen had to eat for their first meal together after they were married.
Oh, I don't know, Tom. Let's ask her. Mrs. Sorensen, what did you and Mr. Sorensen have to eat at your first meal together after the knot was tied?
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken. Do you have any Golden State cottage cheese?
No,
You didn't, huh?
No.
Say, Tom, this is terrible. This lady wanted to start her married life out right, and she and her husband didn't even have Golden State cottage cheese at their first meal together.
Oh, that's too bad, George. Mrs. Sorensen, we're going to make up for that. We're going to give you a package of Golden State cottage cheese to take home with you. It's the most wonderful cottage cheese you've ever tasted. Creamy, velvety textured. Just a cottage cheese that just sort of melts in your mouth.
Oh, it sure does. And it adds a flavorful zest to all of the other dishes on your table. And it has a tang you'll never forget, just like Bob Hope's theme song.
A tang you'll never forget, like Bob Hope's theme song? What's that, George?
Tangs for the memory?
Oh, that's too bad. Get out of here, Fenneman. Leave that package of Golden State here, will you? I just love that tasty cottage cheese. I really do. Oh, there she goes. She went over. Who was it? Did you yell lucky? You did. That was Mrs. Nally that ran to the center of the stage there. All right, Mrs. Nally, and for you, we have a lovely chenille robe by Moto Day. There it is. Isn't it nice? Huh? Isn't that swell? All right, and if it isn't your size, Mrs. Nally, you can exchange it at your nearest Moto Day shop. And by the way, we'd also like to give you a can of delicious, delectable Pismo brand clams. There it is, Mrs. Nally. You have your seat again and keep those ears open.
All right, Tom, now I'd like to introduce Miss Burgie Miller.
Well, Mrs. Miller, hello, and welcome to the Lady Go Lucky program. Where are you from?
Detroit, Michigan.
From Detroit, Michigan. I think that's marvelous. You married?
I'm a widow.
Oh, I see. Tell me, did you have any children, Mrs. Miller?
Yes, I have one son. I'm visiting him. He lives out in Beverly Hills, and
In
here in
Beverly-
the audience with me.
Oh, is that so? Is he in movies or something?
No, he's a young writer.
Oh, I see. You're not nervous, are you?
Oh, just a little bit.
Well, don't be nervous. That's the reason I'm in the radio business, too nervous to steal, you know, Mrs. Miller. All right, you're the lucky lady who's going to be asked the lucky question today. Now, every day on our show, we're going to ask a lucky question, which will pay the person all the cash in our piggy bank. We have a piggy bank here, and today, there it is, today you are that person. You feel lucky, Mrs. Miller?
Rather.
You have a lucky rabbit's foot on you, maybe, or something like that?
Oh, I don't.
You're not superstitious, huh? All right, well, you know, many of the ladies who preceded you weren't so very lucky. They missed, and so now our piggy bank has bulged to $45. If you fail to answer it correctly, $5 more will go into the piggy bank, and tomorrow, you people at home will have a chance at the prize via your telephone. That goes on each day. We'll keep on pyramiding our cash until someone answers the lucky question correctly and empties the piggy bank. Then we just start all over again with a fresh $5. You ready for that question, Mrs. Miller?
Hope I get it.
All right, then here it goes. You be sure and listen carefully. No hints from the audience, please. If Charles Lindbergh had made his famous solo across the Atlantic on September 31st, 1927, instead of the date that he did make his flight, it would have been even more sensational. Why, Mrs. Miller?
Because there is no September the 31st.
Ooh, that's right. There's only 30 days in September. I didn't think you were going to get that, Mrs. They asked me that question. I missed it, so help me. I really did. Thank you very much.
I do accounting for the state of Michigan.
You do accounting for the
Yes.
state of Michigan?
I do accounting for the state of Michigan. I have to follow all those things very closely, so it's not really a matter of luck.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Miller, and congratulations.
3,300, 9,000 USP units of vitamin A fortified.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on there, Fenneman. The war's over, you know.
Well, who's saying anything about the war?
You are. All those figures about fortification.
Well, they were figures about fortification, but not the kind you think. I was talking about fortified margarine.
Oh, you mean all sweet margarine?
Of course. Swift and Company's all sweet margarine. What else?
Well, nothing else, Fenneman. You see, I know which side my bread is margarined on.
Yeah, right, Tom. And those 3,300 calories and 9,000 USP units of vitamin A supplied by a pound of fortified margarine are specific reasons why all sweet is an excellent and nutritive food.
That's right, George Fenneman. Not only that, it's also tasty. Now, let's see.
Certainly
what
is
coming.
tasty.
Oh, there they go again. Another lady. And who did it that time first? Mrs. Gullion was first. Well, fine, Mrs. Gullion. For you, a bottle of Taboo perfume. Isn't that nice? And here's a can of Clapp's baby food all ready to serve. I know you'll enjoy it. Oh, there she is.
Let's see now, where was I when you had to go out of that magic word?
Well, I don't know, George, but you should have been telling the ladies about that exclusive new Swift & Company coloring packet.
Oh, you're so right. You know, it makes tinting a lot simpler, opens easier, and all you do is just sprinkle the coloring out. It makes All Sweet a delicate golden yellow for your table. Ladies, Swift's All Sweet margarine is really wonderful. You'll enjoy it, and your family will enjoy All Sweet. Try it, won't you? And now, Tom, who's that coming this way now?
Well, we have two ladies coming over here now, George. Let me see. One of them here is dressed in a gray suit. You come right on around here and stand on the other side. That's fine. One in a gray suit with
Thank you.
sort of a peaked red hat. Peaked at the top, I mean. You know? What eyes? Brown eyes there, huh? What's your name?
Mrs. Lou Harris.
Mrs. Lou Harris.
That's right. Am I talking loud enough?
Mm-hmm. I think you are. Is she, Mr. Engineer? Yes, she's talking loud. Where are you from, Mrs. Harris?
I'm formerly from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in Los Angeles now.
Well, hello, you all. Welcome to Lucky Lady
Yes.
program.
You too.
I'm from Oklahoma myself.
Are you? So glad to know.
Yeah, Okie, you know.
Oh, well, I wouldn't
That's
say
right.
that,
Well,
Tom.
we all kid about it down
I
there,
know
too.
it.
Well, welcome to Lucky Lady, and let's see what we
Thank
have
you.
here. Here's a very lovely lady with a fur. What kind of a fur is that around your neck?
They told me it was Silver Fox.
They did? Oh, that's wonderful. And you have a hat that sort of hangs down over your forehead there. What? You describe it to us. I can't do this.
Just a hat.
I see. And beautiful blue eyes. What's your name? Right.
This is Frank Anderson of La Jolla.
Of La Jolla. Where is La Jolla? Is that down in this part of the country?
Are you from California?
No, I'm from Oklahoma. I just got through saying that.
Well, it's down near San Diego on the coast, the Pacific.
I see. Are you
Ocean.
married?
Oh, yes.
What does your husband do?
He paints cars.
Oh, I see. I have a car that I think needs a little painting. Talk to me after
Please
the
come to
program.
La Jolla.
I'll do that. Now, you're the two ladies who said before we went on the air that you had a bone to pick with men. Is that right?
That's right.
Then welcome to Lady Go Lucky's Men Make Me Mad department. That's right. This department is devoted solely to letting you ladies give vent to all the little things about men that just sort of irk you. You know what I mean? Oh, you do? You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. All right. Well, let's get started then. To the one who puts up the best and most convincing case against the men, we're going to decide this by audience applause. To her will go a gorgeous gift. First of all, you, Mrs. Harris, what is it about men that makes you mad?
I love all men. I've had 3 husbands, and I love
Oh,
them
you've
all.
got 3.
But a lot of things that I don't like. I'm kidding, darling.
Well, is this the 4th one down
Yeah,
here?
This is the 3rd one.
Oh, this is the
That's
3rd
the
one.
charm.
That's the charm, huh? Well, what made you get rid of the other 2?
Oh, they passed on.
Oh, I see. Well, what is it about men that you don't
Oh,
like?
I don't like the way they leave the bathroom after they take a bath, the tub. And they,
Those little rings around the
Those
tub.
little rings around the tub. And
I
they
see.
also the stationery and the shave and the mirror and the cabinet. Oh, and leaving the pajamas on the floor.
Oh,
and
I
stuff
see. Do
like
you
that.
do that, Mr. Harris? Does Mr. Harris do that now?
I'm afraid to. I'm kidding, darling, but he does.
Oh, he's kidding. Yeah, don't hurt her when she gets home, will you? That she's only kidding.
That's right. And when I'm cooking, he comes in and tells me how to fix this and that. Oh, he's a pretty good cook, and I think
see.
I'll let him do all the cooking from there on.
Do you ever go down and run his business for him?
No, I'm afraid not as a musician.
Oh, I see. He's a musician. You can't play an
I
instrument.
can't do that.
All right, let's see now from Mrs. Anderson. What is it that you don't like, Mrs. Anderson, about men, that is?
Well, men seem to think women are stupid and are morons. For instance, they think it's very stupid of a woman because she can't get a pair of nylon hose, but they just rave. You've heard them rave when they can't get a $2 white shirt.
Oh, yes, yes.
And they don't think women know how to vote politically. They shouldn't do that. And there are all sorts of things like that. You can't fix the vacuum cleaner, therefore you're a moron. What woman should know how to fix a vacuum cleaner? That's not being a moron.
I agree with you there, Mrs. Anderson. I can't fix one myself. All right, thank you, Mrs. Anderson. And now let's find out from our audience who our winner is. We'll hold our hands over the heads. First, here is Mrs. Harris. How about her, audience? All right. And now for Mrs. Anderson. All right, it looks like Mrs. Anderson here is the winner by our engineer up in the booth up there. According to our applause meter, Mrs. Anderson, you are the winner. So for you, we have a beautiful three-piece set of courtly men's toiletries there, Mrs. Anderson.
Is that nice?
That's not very nice that we should give you a man's gift. It wasn't quite fair, was it?
That's a nice Christmas
Yeah, it is
present.
nice. Well, I'll tell you, go ahead and give that Cordelys to the man who makes you mad, and we'll give you this beautiful sheer Moto Day nightgown. Is that nice?
That is beautiful.
You like that? Oh, fine. Well, thank you very much. And Mrs. Harris, you were nothing short of sensational yourself.
Thank
So for
you.
you, here's a beautiful bunch of American Beauty roses from Lucky
Oh,
Forest.
aren't those lovely?
Isn't that
Thank you
nice?
so much.
All right, Mrs. Harris, and thank you very much for being with us. Now, by the way, although you say men make you mad, tell me, would it make you mad if I gave you a can of Lady Lee Melba peaches?
Well, of course not. I like them.
Oh, you do? You use them all the time, don't you? That's what I thought, all right. Or a can of Lady Lee corn,
that's
maybe?
right.
You come right in here and
All right.
talk to me. I didn't think you'd mind that a bit.
Not at all.
Because, you know, I found out the quickest way to a lady's heart is to see that she just doesn't have to spend too much time catering to a man's stomach. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's right. Well, why spend a lot of time sweating over a hot stove then, Mrs. Harris, when it's so simple and economical and wonderful just to open up a can of Lady Lee canned foods? That's a question. That's right. You go ahead and answer me. Why is it so simple and economical?
Because you don't have to stand over a hot stove. You can just open them up and they're already prepared.
That's it. I think that's a good answer, Mrs. Harris. Now I want you to tell me why Lady Lee canned foods are so good. Go ahead. Tell me why.
Well, they're naturally delicious because they have all that natural flavor in them.
Isn't that the truth? It's because these Lady Lee foods are so fresh when
That's
they're
right.
canned, isn't that right? And because they take such painstaking care to see that Lady Lee foods are perfect when they reach you. That's right,
right.
too, isn't it? Well, fine. Mrs. Harris, you know, I found out a lot about Lady Lee canned foods from you, and I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, suppose you just go right ahead and tell me what I have found out. Will you? Go right ahead. Go on.
You want me to... Well, you found out that I don't like to cook, didn't you?
Oh, you don't? Well, after...
Well, I'm not especially.
You're the one with 3 husbands.
Yes.
Well, you've had a lot of appetites to fool,
I'll
haven't
say
you?
I have.
All right, did those Lady Lee satisfy them all,
Oh,
didn't
absolutely.
they? You bet they booches. They did. All right, well, thank you very much, Mrs. Harris. I'm stumbling over my tongue here for coming up.
You hear that bell? That means it's time for the feature event of the program. It's club time on our Lady Go Lucky show, Tom. Representatives of 2 outstanding women's clubs are here to compete for $50 in cash prizes to be used for their club charity. The Homemakers Club, which originated these Lady Go Lucky shows, has given over $58,000 in this manner. And any recognized club or organization can compete. And right now, I'd like to present Mrs. Minerva Smith of the Sunnyside Methodist Church and Mrs. Mabel Dorr of the Children's Welfare
Well,
League.
Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Dorr, welcome to the Lady Go Lucky program. And you come right around here in front of the microphone. We'll move this hand mic out of the way here so you can talk to me. Hello, Mrs. Dorr. How are you?
Fine.
You're not nervous, are you?
Just a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah, but you don't look it at all. How about you, Mrs. Smith?
No.
No, you're not. You're going to have to move in here and speak up just a little bit, I think. Where are you from, Mrs. Smith?
From Missouri.
From
Where
Missouri.
The rest of the Paxtons are from.
For where the rest of the Paxtons say, you're just not kidding. There's a whole raft of us up in them there hills. How about you, Mrs.
I'm
Dorr?
from New York City.
From New York City.
New
What
York
part of
City.
New York?
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
That's right.
You're not from Brooklyn, huh?
No, I'm not from
You're not one of
Brooklyn.
these dim-dose guys. I see. All right. Well, tell me now, this is what we're going to do, ladies. You see that display counter over there? Well, it's just chock full of, it's right here in the center of the stage. It's just chock full of all of our sponsors' products. Now, that's not an ordinary display counter. No, it isn't. We're going to give you each here a basket. This is our question counter. Now, to each one of the... You go around here on the other side. That's right. I'll get here between you two ladies. Now, this is, as I say, not an ordinary display counter, ladies. This is our question counter. To each one of the boxes or the cans that you see here before you, there is attached a little slip of paper. On this paper, there's a question. Don't look at those questions down there. That's bad. They got the answers on them, you see. Now, here's what you are to order, whatever you want by name from our question counter. We'll take it from the counter. We'll read the question to you. And if you answer the question correctly, you get to put the product in your market basket and keep it. If you fail to answer it correctly, it goes to Mrs. Jim Johnson of Palo Alto, who sent the questions in that we're using. The one who piles up the most groceries wins $30 for her club, while she who comes out second best still makes $20 for her club. Do you both understand that correctly? All right, now we'll get started here with Mrs. Mabel Dorr of the Children's Welfare League. What would you like to order from our question counter, Mrs. Dorr?
I would like to order some margarine.
Some margarine. All right, here's the margarine right here, and here's the question. If you were walking up a downtown street and saw a Hottentot, which of these things would be the most logical to do? Would you eat it? Would you wear it? Or would you shake hands with it? What? What would you do?
I'd shake hands.
You'd shake hands with it, and you'd be absolutely right. A Hottentot is a human being, is a native of Africa, so you get to keep the margarine there, Mrs. Dorr. And now let's move over here to our other lady, Mrs. Smith. And what is it that you'd like to pick from our counter?
Coffee.
The coffee. All right, we'll read the question. Who is the father in Bringing Up Father, Dagwood, Jiggs, or Daddy Warbucks?
Jiggs.
Jiggs is right. Bringing Up Father is the proper name for Maggie and Jiggs. You're tied now, ladies. And you, Mrs. Dorr, what did you like to have?
Some cottage cheese.
Some cottage cheese. The question on the cottage cheese is, which of these expressions would you be most likely to hear in a game of blackjack? Have you ever played blackjack? Well, would you be hearing tag, you're it, hands up, or hit me lightly?
Hit me lightly.
Hit me lightly is right. You got it, kid. All right. And now you're just one ahead here of Mrs. Smith. What is it that you'd like to have, Mrs. Smith?
I'll take the beans.
You'll take the beans. All right. That's what I have my hand on here. Which of these terms is not associated with skiing? Herringbone, telemark, or Framistan? Which of these terms is not associated with skiing? You better get this right now. You know, oh, yeah, one of them is associated with skiing. Just take a wild guess.
Herringbone.
Herringbone, telemark, or Framistan?
Herringbone.
Herringbone is wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Framistan, which is a simple word used in double talk. That's the one that doesn't belong in there. So, Mrs. Dorr, that puts you one up here on Mrs. Smith. What is it that you'd like to have now from our counter?
The corn.
The corn. Oh, say, that's really tasty, that corn is, too. Oh, there they go. All right. Blow the horn. She blew it, and that's Mrs. Nally this time. Well, Mrs. Nally, for you, we have a wonderful prize here for you, Mrs. Nally. Here, look at this, what we have for you. A gleaming, all aluminum, fully automatic feather touch electric iron, and it weighs only 3 pounds. Mrs. Nally, for you, congratulations. And you keep listening over there now, Mrs. Gullion, because we're going to do this some more, you know. Here's the question for you, Mrs. Dorr, on the back of the can of corn. Why do camels have long eyelashes? So they'll look attractive to other camels, you know? Or so they won't get so much sand in their eyes? Or so their eyes won't be strained too much by the desert sun?
So their eyes wouldn't be stranded so much.
What is it?
So the eyes won't be stranded so
Yeah,
much.
stranded in back of the ears. No, I'm afraid that isn't right. It's to protect their eyes from the sun. So it looks like you miss out on this one, but you're still... Oh, there it is, ladies. School's out. That's all you can order from the question counter. So let's see which club is the winner. Counting the items in the market basket, we see that you have 2 items in here, Mrs. Dorr, and you, Mrs. Smith, you have 1 item. So